one film used to take 5 years, 6 years, and you would keep going to different sets, and you kept. So by the time, frankly, the money came to you, it was trickling in. It was never like, you've done so much work, you're working non-stop, but there's not like a, okay, I did so much and I have this. It's very different today. At that time, it was not like that. You did a few ads and you could do that. You put things together, but it was not like a, what would you call it? I don't know if it's the right word to say it, but you didn't have like a retirement fund. I never want to retire, but you know what I'm talking about, like having that thing. So I just felt that with the way things were going, and after having had the hit and what kind of films that were coming, and I just felt things are really not changing so much. And if I don't take a chance, what's the point? And when Goldie said what he said, I said, you know what, I'm going to do this show. And I really did have the early bird benefit in that. It was also a show on Star, which was a foreign company, MNC, which was in. So, I was paid accordingly. So that kind of gave me, and I came from a very lower middle class family, and I was in movies for the paycheck. I'd come in because I needed the money. So doing that show kind of gave me a little bit of breathing space where I could say, okay, if I don't go to work today, it's fine. If I take a little bit of time off to think and to evaluate something, it's fine. My bills will still get paid. That breathing space is what I was not achieving. And that show gave me that breathing space. So after Kya Masti Kya Dhoom, it was I got married. I was doing Telugu films, Tamil films. I was doing films in South. Actually, in that sense, a pan India, like how they love to call it now. I was like, we were doing it all the time, but now there are these new phrases for it. But yeah, I was doing all of that. I was doing other movies also, and it's only when I got pregnant is when I actually stopped doing movies and stuff like that. I took the break, as you said, at that point of time. But it was not break from work because while that break was happening and while I was growing with Ranbir, I did theatre, and it was the sequel to Tumhari Amrita called Aapki Sonia with Farooq Sheikh. I love him and I miss him even today. But so that's what we did. I really enjoyed it. It was another big chance to take because I mean, just imagine the guts to do a sequel to what Shabana ji is doing. But yeah, I said,
Yeah, that's gutsy.
yeah, it's really. So the thought process at that time was that listen, at the most anyway they say that I'm not good at acting. So big deal, they say the same thing again. But I needed to try it out because a lot of people said that when you did theatre and because of that, your acting skills and whatever, it was important. I said, I want to know if I'm acting, I want to know what is this theatre, what is it that I have missed out on? Let me understand it. So it was more a learning for me, and I really enjoyed that process. I mean, I was doing that. I was doing that show till literally 8.5 months of my pregnancy. I was doing that play. Once I was done with it, I also realized that for me, I need to move on from things. Like some people really enjoy the fact that they can say the same line in 40 different ways, and it's an amazing talent to have. That's not my talent, and I kind of move on, and I find I get a little bored with it. So I'm like, okay, now what is the next thing? What is the next thing? So theater, I realize, is lovely, but not really for me. I want to move on to the next project. So that was my thing of it, which I understood from it. Then I think probably the only part where I was not working would have been about till Ranveer turned two. So I started with that, went on to doing Indian Idol, then India's Got Talent, and it every year I just kept doing this. So for me, I've not really taken a break to come back, so to say. But yeah, fiction has been a bit of time after that.
After a hard day's work, how do you unwind at home? What is your, like, you have a favorite corner, favorite space where you want, and how do you do that up?
So my house has different corners because I think once an actor, every time I look at a corner, if I'm sitting, I'm just looking at what will my background be. I know it sounds mad, but literally, it's like, what will my background be? So if the angle was from here, then if what will it look like behind? I actually think of it like that. So I have different corners in the house, and they all have different significance, and I use it at different times. But for me, the unwinding, yes, I run a book club, so definitely reading. Though that's the negative of social media. Attention span is becoming so less that reading is becoming a challenge. But going back to see the attention span problem, but going back to the question you asked, I think for me, unwinding is my dog. So when I go home and when I meet my puppy, and that I think is my first step of unwinding. And so it usually happens in the corner where her bed is, and she comes with her toy, and you're kind of playing with her and all of that. That becomes my first, decompression. Is that? And after that, there is reading corner, or that reading corner doubles up as internet corner where you're watching rubbish rabbit hole reels sometimes. You know how it's a rabbit hole, you go down it and you suddenly don't realize you've been
So, what is
down in
special
that.
about this corner?
A nice couch, being comfortable, something that you can sink into. And the other corner that I really like is where the coffee machine is close by. So first half of the day goes near that, so that I can have as much coffee as I want. But I don't have coffee after in the second half, because then that wires me up too much. So yeah.
Is there a favorite city or place that you modeled your house on?
Mumbai is my favorite city.
So, is there any corner in the house or any something that reminds you of maybe some holiday you went? Is there anything?
Artifacts would be there, but I think for me, as a book lover, I would say my best travels have been through my books. So even if I travel to most of the places, and you can say, but when it's the stories that make me want that place. So sometimes, even if I've not been to that place, I feel like I've been there. And sometimes, because I've read something, and then you go to that place and you feel like you know this place, that it's an old friend. So for me, I would say that the corner where my books are, which is like a TV room where I have my books, is still, it would be one of my coziest corners in the house, because the books are there, the memories are there. Yeah.